Access Certification Scenario 13F. Today we'll be covering the Access Certification Scenario 13F, which requires us to create a certification campaign for sensitive application that must be completed every 90 days. This can be achieved by leveraging the Audits Compliance Auditor. Based on your security authentication will allow you to drive whether or not you can only perform audit, review audits, or manage audits. Managing audits is where we will be focusing today to create that certification campaign. In order to create a campaign, we provide you with a number of different configuration options. Some of these options include allowing evidence, so attachments, documentation, etc. Allowing to have multi-selection when approving or denying access, as well as having a two-tiered compliance process where you would leverage an auditor as the first level and a reviewer as the second level. In this case, we are only going to focus on having an auditor decide if the person should or should not have the access. We also provide a number of different remediation behaviors for this process. One being it can immediately happen the moment someone makes a decision, or after the entire process has been completed, and it will be done in batch. We also provide some different decision making that allow you to determine if evidence and or comments are required for any of these different action types. For this case, we're going to focus on a sensitive application. We do allow you to do either entitlements based on the application, so this is at the system level, and you'll see we have a number of different systems in our business service repository, but we also allow you to audit any of the roles that could have been assigned, which are containers for all of the different systems up above. For this case, we're going to use the PeopleSoft system, and we will focus on the accounting and compensation access. These would be the two that have some issues with people having access that maybe they shouldn't in terms of the sensitive data. What's nice is because I was able to click the container level, it inherits any of the objects underneath that container. We also provide you the ability to have a user attribute filter. These user attribute filters can be based off of a number of different data attributes associated to the users in your organization. Departments, company, management, etc. can all be leveraged to help slice and dice the data to who would be included within this particular audit project. We are now at the screen where we will then configure the project. In this case, we are now associating who the auditor would be. We have a number of different configuration options that allow the auditor to be defined. This can be defined in a hierarchical based on the IE inherited configuration. We can also do a user certification where the user would be the person that is the person that has to request the access again. We can do owner, which is what we'll be doing for this case, as well as a managed certification. We also give you the capability of assigning specific groups and or users. We also provide a scheduling mechanism that allows you to schedule a start date, an end date, and when the snapshot date should occur. We will start the project today and end it in 1 week. We can go ahead and set the snapshot date to be today as well, and we can go ahead and set a repeatable process of every quarter. This is configurable in the configuration. We also provide you the ability to have delta audits. What this means is that if you run this project every 90 days, you only have to audit the deltas from the last time that this audit was run. Now we have a summarization of the project, which allows us to see everything that's been included, and now we can go ahead and save this project. This is a batch process that now goes into the queue, and the project will be considered an in process. When the process runs, it will now go out, create the project, send out emails, and allow for the auditors to go through and make decisions based on the proper assignments of these access points to the end user. Now that the project has been created, It is now time to go through and perform the attestation. Emails have been sent to alert the users who are the auditors of the projects that they have items that need to be addressed in their queue. Users would click on a link that would take them into the compliance auditor. Once you're in the compliance auditor, the user only sees the projects that they are allowed to audit and review. Once they come into the review or the audit, they will then see a list of the objects that are associated to a project that they have either performed an action against or have not. We will scroll to the bottom and we will see that we have a project at the bottom that was the scenario 13F for the purpose of this demonstration. We now see that we have 6 items that are associated to this user that need to have some type of perform attestation. Once we click on an item, we will see that it brings up additional information and provides the auditor with some details to help them make their decision. They can go ahead and see the workflow, they can see the request history, they can see the privilege details, as well as if there's any form data that was associated, they could see that as well. We also provide the ability for the user to do a quick lookup to see any other potential access that they may have been assigned or are assigned in the environment. We also provide a number of different data attributes regarding this user in terms of the item's risk level within the organization, as well as the user's risk details. The risk details allows the end user to then get an assessment of what the person's risk scoring is within the organization. All this is configurable and allows for different metrics to then help customize the aggregate risk score within the organization. The user then has the option of making a couple of different actions. These can be approve, revoke, allow exception, or reassign. In this case, we will go ahead and approve the item. This allows us to put in a justification. We can also mark this as sensitive and attach any evidence. Evidence could be a PDF, an email, or any type of documentation. Once we approve the item, it is then removed from our list, and based on this project, because we do not have reviewers, it would then be in the queue waiting for the batch remediation. We also provide some nice filtering capabilities where the user can filter based on privileges, assignments, flags, whether or not it's been a status of approved, revoked, denied, whatever it might be, as well as doing quick search based on different data attributes within the assignment. We also provide the capability of doing a multi-select, so a user can come through, select 3 items, and make a decision, or they would then be forced to go through and decide on individual items themselves. If the user wants to go ahead and revoke or reassign, it's just as easy as approving, just by coming in and clicking the justification, setting the mark sensitive, attaching the data. If they want to go ahead and reassign, they can do that as well. They would do the justification, assign who the new user is going to be, and once again, perform the action. One other details that is not shown is a historical representation of this object. If at any time this object has been part of the access certification process, it will show the history of this process and will show the justification, the attachments, and any comments that were made by the approver and or reviewer. That's nice when you're doing repetitive projects over time. Thank you.